Hey guys, with trials right around the corner, I wanted to make a quick video about what I think will be the most useful weapons and possibly speculate what might drop from the Lighthouse chest. First up, let's talk about primary weapons. Of all the weapons, Red Death is probably going to be the most used in Trials of Osiris, due to the fact that it is just a good overall weapon. Pulse rifles are in a really good spot right now after the 2.0 patch, and when you add on the gun's exotic perk Red Death, it makes it that much more of a threat. Being able to fully replenish all of your health and shield after a kill makes it a very convincing option to be competitive. I could also see Bad JUJU being a popular choice due to the fact that it has a faster fire rate and that it's full auto. When you add in the exotic perk of it charging your super quicker and not having to reload, it's hard to fathom this gun not being used in such a competitive PvP game mode such as Trials. With all that being said, HAWKMOON and Last Word are still very good in the steady hand of a skilled guardian, and if it's a smaller map, expect to see these weapons as well as an occasional SUROS regime or MONTE CARLO, thanks to the 2.0's auto rifle buff. Of course, all these weapons are exotics, so you would have to take that into account if you wanted to use an exotic in another weapon slot. For legendaries, a couple good choices are the HAWKSAW from the Vanguard Crucible vendor, the VILLAINY from the Future War Cult, or the IS Luna, which I believe only drops from Strike or Crucible playlist. But don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure. Moving on to special weapons, I only see a few options for each type of weapon. For shotguns, I see 2, maybe 3 choices as to what would be most competitive. The Chaperone, the Conspiracy Theory D, and if you are lucky enough to get one to drop in the Crucible playlist, the Year 2 Party Crasher +1. Of course, the Chaperone is an exotic, so you'll have to make that decision in lieu of an exotic primary or heavy weapon if you decide to do so. Honestly though, this shotgun is a beast in PvP due to its slug that is fired every time that it's shot, and even though most of the time it isn't a one-shot kill unless you hit a headshot, its quick fire rate allows you to get a follow-up shot almost instantly after the first one. If you don't want to use your exotic slot for a secondary weapon, the Conspiracy Theory D and the Party Crasher are very good legendary alternatives. Unlike the Chaperone, these shotguns have a much slower rate of fire and are meant to one-bang people from the farthest ranges possible. With the right rolls, they could easily be dominant options if you like the rush playstyle that reigned in Year 1. Moving on to snipers now, easily the most used sniper will be the 1000 yard stare. Due to the fact that it's a quest reward, almost everybody has one, and even if you don't have great rolls for the perks, it still has the ability to snipe off the revive, and for those types of game modes like Trials, Skirmish, and Salvage, a sniper of that impact is almost a necessity. Another good option is the AMOR sniper rifle that the gunsmith brought in last week's Arms Day delivery. However, the scopes are more long range, so it would be very difficult to use on a smaller map if that was the case. Up next, I wanted to talk about sidearms. I haven't got a chance to use many thus far into the expansion, but I have noticed a couple that I want to talk about. First up is the HAVOC Pigeon, which you can purchase from the Vanguard Crucible vendor or possibly drop from a Crucible package or engram. It has a pretty quick time to kill if you're accurate, and it has that crazy looking design all the Crucible weapons have. The other option is the IRONWREATH sidearm that is currently available to purchase from Lord Saladin at rank 4 of Iron Banner, and if you're lucky, you may have got one to drop at the end of a match. Not much is known about this weapon at this time, as most people who play Iron Banner are probably just reaching rank 4 today due to Iron Banner launching only 2 days ago. However, if what we saw from the Destiny Red Bull event is any indication as to how good this weapon is, it might be the new best special weapon in the game. Lastly, we have heavy weapons. If you're going for a rocket launcher, the best option likely is going to be Truth. With grenades and horseshoes, plus the ability to track targets better than any other rocket launcher in the game, it's definitely a compelling argument to choose this weapon over others. However, with the 2.0 patch, it nerfed a lot of perks that were specifically on this rocket launcher, and the velocity was massively affected by it. A very good legendary alternative is the SUROS JLB-47 rocket launcher from Arms Day yesterday. It has everything you're looking for in a rocket launcher except for tracking, but honestly, for this rocket launcher, it isn't needed. Thanks to hard launch, heavy payload, and javelin, the blast radius for this rocket launcher and the velocity are almost both maxed out when you add in grenades and horseshoes, this thing is an absolute monster in PvP. For machine guns, I would say either the Raid LMG QULLIM'S Terminus, the Crucible Vanguard machine gun Ruin Wake, or if you wanted an exotic, Thunderlord. As far as swords go, any legendary variant of the sword performs just as well. But if you wanted the range attack as well as, there is no better option than the Boltcaster. It tracks its targets, and the ability to block shots as well as attack from a distance makes a very interesting gameplay. As far as armor goes, I won't go too much into it because most people run quick revive armor for trials, such as the Light Beyond Nemesis for Warlocks, and the Crest of Alpha Lupi for the Hunter and the Titan. However, if you don't have this armor for your characters, I'll give you what I believe to be the next best option for all 9 classes. For Sunbreakers, it's going to be the Immolation Fist, which grants you Explosive Pyre, freeing you up to use either Fleet Fire or Flameseeker. For the Striker, it's going to be the Helm of Inmost Light, which gives you both Headstrong and Death from Above, which allow for a lot of interesting combinations within that subclass. And finally, for the Titan, if you're feeling a little crazy and want to run Defender, the Helm of St. 14 is always going to be the best option. For Warlocks, if you're running Stormcaller, the Impossible Machines are the way to go. They grant you Landfall, which frees you up to choose the perk which you can chain lightning twice as far, and in game modes like Trials where people group up a lot, that can prove to be devastating. For Sunsingers, I would say the Heart of Praxic Fire is probably the best, as it further reduces all your ability cooldowns while Radiance is active. That means more grenades and more one-hit melees. Lastly, for the Warlock, if you're running Voidwalker, I would suggest running the Obsidian Mind, as it uses the kills you get with your first Nova Bomb to start charging your next Nova Bomb. In a game mode like Trials where you get supers usually only once a game, having an extra Nova Bomb, or maybe even 2 extra Nova Bombs over the course of a Trials match, could end up being a huge game changer. Because it could have such a massive impact depending on how well the exotic perk works, it's worth noting that the Stag could be an absolutely epic Warlock helmet. If the super recharges really significantly quicker when your teammates are dead, this could be the new Ram for Warlocks. It's definitely interesting and sounds like this exotic was made with Trials in mind. Moving on to Hunters, if you're running Night Stalker, Graviton Forfeit is going to be your best option. The ability to have both Shade Step and Keen Scout is extremely valuable. Being able to have a disorienting mobility option and to track enemies behind walls is no doubt maybe the strongest thing in the game right now. If you're running Night Stalker, you seriously need to consider using this armor over the Crest of Alpha Lupi, especially if both your teammates are already wearing the quick revive armor. It shouldn't even be a question, you need to use this helmet. Now for Blade Dancers, you'll definitely want to use Mask of the Third Man. A super that lasts longer has the potential for more kills, or the ability to get a kill where your super would normally just run out before you catch up to an enemy that's running away. Lastly, for Gunslingers, I would recommend the Sealed Ahamkara Grasps. The ability for an extra melee, aka throwing knife, is really good. With that being said, the Sealed Ahamkara Grasp would also be great for the Night Stalker and Blade Dancer as well, if you wanted to run double smoke grenades or double backstab melees on your Blade Dancer. Overall, these gauntlets are versatile and look absolutely incredible. One final thing I'd like to speculate about before the video comes to a close is a pretty controversial topic actually. Ever since the discovery of calcified fragments, avid collectors and explorers in the world of Destiny have been racking their brains trying to figure out where all the calcified fragments are located. We are now a month into the Taken King, and 3 have yet to be found, despite countless hours of searching. I have an idea where 2 of them might be located, but I have no idea where the 3rd could be. One, I believe, is going to be in one of the chests in the hard mode raid. Another, I believe, could possibly be in the lighthouse chest on Mercury for going flawless in Trials of Osiris. This is where the controversy could be. Only a slight percentage of the Destiny community has been able to reach Mercury by going flawless in Trials of Osiris. That could mean that for a large percentage of the community, all the calcified fragments will never be obtainable. I know it seems crazy to think Bungie would do that, but remember they kept some of the best primary weapons with elemental burns on them out of reach to most of the community when they made the adept versions of the Trials of Osiris weapons. If they would do that, then surely something like calcified fragments isn't too far-fetched. Seeing as how calcified fragments are kind of similar to ghosts, and there are significant lore behind the calcified fragments, for someone who loves to collect all the ghosts and read the lore behind the game, this could cause quite an outburst in the community. Now, all this is just speculation. I want to remind you, it could be that all 3 of the unfound calcified fragments are in the hard mode version of the King's Fall raid, but it's just something interesting to think about, and we don't know for sure yet. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about my trials predictions and suggestions, as well as some interesting tidbits on the calcified fragments. If you did, please like this video and subscribe. I will be posting other things aside from gameplays like this video, but I just haven't had the right equipment to do so until now. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and maybe I'll see some of you in trials. See ya!